Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Well, I guess it could be afternoon wherever you are. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode of Wisdom Wednesday when I talk to Enrico Lugnan from Italy. And we have a conversation about his adventures in the United States and mindset and using your instincts to land in the great adventures of your life. So enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey gang, I am back with another interview and I am talking to Enrico Lugnan from Italy. Check me out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Starr.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And just before we started the recording, you talked about how somebody had said to you that you know things without knowing how you know them.
Yeah, I mean, we were on it was a nice conversation. It was a business partner. It was someone I used to do business with, and we got into more deeper personal conversation. And he told me he was reading some books about the energies, about how like intuition can help you, how you can develop it, how you can use it for your business. And when he started mentioning a few episodes, I'm like, yeah, I mean I can relate to that. Like in most cases, that's what got me through a few business problems, especially with how to use websites. What's the right way to interpret data? And sometimes I created my own. I called it like my own algorithm, my own way to understand things. And then when I share it with someone else that works for me, they're like, okay, yeah, that's actually an academical or statistical thing that you actually do. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, but I don't know. That's what what the guy called intuition. I'm like, okay, I'd say I have pretty good intuition then.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because I honestly, like, I'm now out in the world as an intuitive and I teach people how to do this. But it literally was like, I want to say 6 months ago that I realized that I really, really had a gift. But before that, somebody had said to me, you just know. You don't know how you know, but you know.
Yeah.
And so that's it. It's the intuition, and it's just, well, this makes sense and I'm just going to do it this way. And then you do it and it works and you're like, oh, well, look at me. Check that out. So that's really cool. Now, let me ask you this. Have you always been aware of it? Or is the awareness just new?
Okay, it's hard to say. I've always been kind of aware that things were easier for me than usually they were for other people to understand, not to perform. Not necessarily I would outperform people, but I would understand the basic and understand things before the most, like, the average person would. And that was really clear to me when I started working on social media, on ad platforms and such, where there are not extensive courses or such, and I couldn't rely on. I wouldn't want to rely or spend a lot of money on a course, and then I just opened the app, like for example Facebook ads. In my case, I just opened it and I knew how to do it. I knew what I needed to do, what the things meant, and I knew how to run it. And then I realized that it wasn't that obvious when I tried to scale that just by having the employees take care of it, because they couldn't. Like, they needed to be trained, and to me it was pretty obvious. It was pretty, like, it's like, you open it up, you check it out, it's pretty obvious. Like, no, it's not really, like I it's not really. And at first I would get kind of, I'm not saying I would get mad, but I would be like frustrated and saying, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? It's not like you open, it's pretty clear. I mean, you read what's written there, you know where to click. I mean, it's pretty clear, straightforward. And everyone was like, no, man, it's not really. Like, that's not, I mean, to me, it doesn't look obvious. And I was like, okay, then there is something to it. Then I don't know. I mean, That's how I found out. That's how I always thought it was the same for everyone. Then when I started, when I started confronting, like getting to know people more and then talking more business, and then I realized, okay, that's not how other people do things.
Yeah.
That's not the usual way of doing things.
Yeah. And isn't that funny? I mean, I always think, well, everybody else is just like me, right? It must be that way. I mean, it's like I said to somebody one day, I was like, well, I can feel thought. And they're like, what? And I'm like, well, what, can't you feel your thoughts? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can tell you like different areas of my brain where thoughts come from. And that's how I know when I'm getting in the flow, in the energy of the universe, and when it's just my brain talking to me. So I think we do that. I think we just assume that everybody else gets it the way we do. And of course, everybody else has a different worldview and sees things differently. I keep being tell me about your background. That's the question.
Absolutely.
Where are you from? How did you grow up? What were you raised in the country?
Okay, so I'm from Italy. I'm actually from Grado, which is a small island close, like 1 hour and 30 minutes away from Venice. It's an 8,000 people town. In the summer, it becomes more like 50,000 with tourists, but that's where I grew up. I until I was 15, I've only wandered around across like 40 miles radius. Didn't really go further than that, because my parents at home, like they had a family run business, which was like more like what now it's a bed and breakfast, not Airbnb style, but more like not in a hotel, just rooms and breakfast.
Yeah.
So I helped them there with the family business until they realized, and everyone always, like even teachers and stuff, realized I had something that, like, I was good with academics, not good student. I wasn't a good student. I was just good with academics. And that's, if I think back at it right now, I realize I knew things.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally knew things. I don't know how. I always thought, I picked them up from television, newspapers, radio, people talking, and picked up notions. But sometimes it's pretty weird. Like, I knew the answer. I could always take a really good educated guess. And so that helped me to get to a scholarship for, I was an exchange student in the US. I studied in the US for 1 year. I did the junior year there, which is our third year of high school, actually, like yours, of course, but you have 4, we have 5. So I did my third year there, when everybody actually did the 4th. So I was the youngest guy there as an exchange student, and I had a blast. I came back, and I mean, I was in Houston, Texas.
You were in Houston, Texas?
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay.
10 months. For 10 months. It was I went from an 8,000 people town to Houston, Texas. So
oh my gosh,
the neighborhood I was in was actually bigger than my town. And I realized that, like, not everyone knows everyone around. And I realized that you can't actually walk everywhere. And I was used to, like, walking everywhere. I mean, to me, going to the supermarket, I would just take a walk and go to the supermarket. Well, actually, in a big American city, it's not necessarily true. So I had this type of experience, which really changed me. Really, I matured during that year quite a lot. So I came back completely different person. Before, I was really active. I was really, passionate about things. I was like, and I'm not saying these things, but I was like too much. I was too much in anything, in any way I acted. I was too much. And then when I came back, I had this notion in my head of how the world actually is, how different different cultures might be, how different customs might be, and I had an amazing time with the African American community, with the Mexican American community, with I had this experience so that I could meet a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds. And when I came back, suddenly the island felt quite small. The 8,000 people island felt quite small, and I wasn't really happy about it. So I had 2 more years of high school, which after seeing American high school, which in my humble opinion, academically, it's not better than the Italian high school, but socially, or the way you are able to interact, it is. Because you are able to experience a lot of different subjects, a lot of different people. You meet more people. You're not in one class and you switch teachers. You actually go to the teacher and everyone. You have different people in different classes. In Italy, it's not like that. So you get to meet more people. You get to experience more things. So when I came back, I had to finish those 3 years of high school, and I had to go to college. So I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't really happy because with my PSAT scores, I got letters from big American university, really good ones. For me, those were really good ones, and I ended up in university in Italy, which is good for Italy, but it's small. It doesn't have those type of programs. I wasn't happy for 3 years, and then I decided, well, I've always been good with computers. I've always been a hard worker because I started working around 12 years old, helping my family, but putting in the hours, not just being there because I'm 12 and saying I'm working. I was actually working. So I said, okay, let's see if I can do anything online. I bought a course to email marketing. I did the first 3 lessons out of 25, and I figured it out. And then I grew an email list. Yeah, that's how it happened. I paid quite a bit for that course, and then I didn't actually finish it. I struggled for the first 6 months. Then I paid. I did another consultation with the person that was doing really good in email marketing, and that I needed a few tweaks that I couldn't have known because I didn't play with certain budgets. So I didn't actually, there are some things that you actually have to know how it works. I mean, you don't know how a VIP room is unless you go into one, at least those things, there are some things you need to see. So when he showed them to me, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And in 5 months, I grew a 100K email list. And after I did that, I met my actual business partner, which is with which we founded and grew Avenic, which is a social media marketing agency. We focused first on Instagram, so I applied kind of the same techniques I did on email marketing to Instagram, and then from there we expanded to Facebook ads, and we scaled from being, first we were 4 business partners, then 2 went out. And we went from 2 business partners, just me and him, to around 33 people right now in 7 months. So we did. That's basically in brief, my background in the business and kind of educational.
That's crazy.
Side.
I have to ask, how old are you?
25. Sorry, I always have to think about it.
What?
I look really old. Yeah, no, I know. I look really old. I look kind of, everyone thinks I'm like 34, 35.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it because of the beard? You grew the beard?
Yeah, I mean, if I cut it up, if I shave, you would say I'm 25. But I don't, I like my beard. I like the fact that people think I'm 34, 35, because for some reason they take you more seriously than if I say I'm 25, and I use that as my advantage. So,
Yeah, I'm like, you're the same age as my son. I'm like, he's going to be 25 on Tuesday. So I'm like, what? So
I'm going to be 26 in August.
Okay. So you're a year older than my son.
Mm-hmm.
But what really gets me is as you described your journey, it's like there was something larger for you.
Mm-hmm.
And on some level, you knew it. And
yeah, so, I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, on some level, you just knew, and then boom, the opportunity goes to go to Houston comes up, and you're there.
Yep.
And it expanded your worldview, and just brought you to this place where you see so many opportunities, and not only that, but you see steps. You absolutely see the steps ahead of you, and you're like 5 steps down the road before most people have taken the first 2 or 3.
I think I was kind of lucky. Yeah, no, it's great. But I think I was kind of lucky. And when I mean lucky, I worked. I had my up and downs, and I really hustled. I really worked a lot. But I was lucky because I realized one concept that for me it's the key, which is when you analyze something, sometimes it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's only a matter of different.
Okay. Yeah.
Understanding, and a lot of people I know that came with me to the US as an exchange student, they didn't actually have the best times, but not necessarily for the family they were hosted or the school, but because they always saw things as, well, it's better at home. At first I had that approach as well, because it was really hard. I mean, I was used to, like, getting back home at 2, doing my homework, and at 5 I would go out and just meet up with my friends, go hang around. And because it's a small town in Houston, you don't really go out and meet people at random. That's pretty weird in the US to have kids 16, 15 just walking around and hanging out. It's not the most common thing. And at first I thought, well, this is not good. I mean, I don't like this. This is bad. At home it's better. And then I had that epiphany, realization that actually, you know what, that's just different.
It's
like
different.
The people probably, if the same thing happened backwards, people like the American students that went to Italy would say, I mean, that's what, like, no, why would you do that? Why would you go out like so much? Why would you? No, I don't know. Maybe but I was lucky in my opinion, I was lucky that I figured it out in the first 60 days I was there. People eventually did, but if you have 10 months to spend there and you realize this at month number 9, regret is going to be a big thing. You're like, oh, I missed everything. But I did 1 month, 2 months where it was not miserable, but I wasn't really happy. And then I'm like, okay, no, wait, let's see this from a different angle. It's a different culture. I have to realize this is a different culture. The food is different. The way you watch TV is different. The way you go out is different. The way you behave at the restaurant is different. Some things are objectively better and objectively worse, but overall you can't analyze things from that perspective. It's just different.
So you were what, 16 years old, 17 years old?
I came to the US that I was at the time 16 and turned 15, turned 16 in the US, and then went back right before my 17th birthday.
Where did that because the core of that is, it's not good or bad, it's just different. And for a 15-year-old kid to grasp that concept is pretty good. Do you think that came from your parents, or did you just know that? Just figure it out all on your own?
Not to give credit to my parents, but at the time, I mean, it was me. I'd say it was me, because in some aspects, my parents haven't lived the situation I have. So they have traveled, but traveling somewhere doesn't mean you understand the cultural differences.
Right.
Yet, and you act like a tourist. I wasn't a tourist. I was living there. I had to school there, and like I was living there. So that's a realization that the hosting family like really helped me, because I was the 8th student they hosted for a year. So they kind of knew that they were able to, like, they knew they had to not impose stuff, not had to let me live through it and figure it out myself. And I did. I'm really happy I did.
Wow, how lucky you were to again, luck comes in, that you were able to get into a hosting situation or family situation where they knew to just kind of back off and let you figure it out. I keep wanting to ask you. Go ahead. Tell me.
No, please, go on.
Because it's stupid, but it's about American football.
Okay, that's an interesting.
Did you get to go to football games in high school and get part of that culture?
Okay, yeah, that's a funny story actually. So, the family that was hosting me had seasonal tickets for the Texans. So I went twice to the football games, which, to be honest, wasn't my favorite thing. Because on TV, when you watch them and there's a commercial break, I mean, it's a commercial break, but you don't, I mean, I didn't expect at the stadium that people would wait for the commercial break.
Yeah.
The stadium and actually, I mean, you are at the stadium and there is not even the commercial to look at, and you're like, okay, cheerleaders and stuff. So it was like, okay, that's not my favorite thing. And then they said like, well, wait, let's go tailgating. And I'm like, sure. And so I went twice, and that was amazing. I mean, I had a blast. And so after that, I went back to school and I said, can I play? So you're like, sure. I mean, I'm 6'9". No. Yeah, 6'8", I think, in inches. I'll tell you, I'm 187 centimeters. So I don't know. I have no idea how tall I am. 6'2".
6'2". Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and I was pretty. I'm pretty big, so I don't know in pounds how much I weigh. So they were like, yeah, I mean, yes, we have 6 games left, but if you want, you can play. I used to play football for like soccer, what you would call soccer, for fun. So I was the kicker of the team and then defensive right tackle. And I played my games until I broke my eyebrow. Actually, that's a funny thing as well, because as you can see, this goes a lot. We went to a party or something, and we started playing football with no helmets or anything, and I tackled the guy on his elbow and I got 8 stitches. So the season was over for the last 2 games, but I kind of was part of that culture. So the day of the game, I went to school with my with my football jersey, and it was cool. I mean, I did that, and I played tennis. I'm really proud of I have to tell this, because I played tennis for the school, and I won as the regional one of the regional team winners.
Yeah.
And I never played a game because there was no other school that had more than 5 teams. So me and the other Italian exchange students, which we weren't really good, we never played, but we won because we never had anyone to play against us. So we I won the tennis championship without ever playing. That's the shirt of the championship without ever playing. And I don't know how to play tennis. I have to be honest. Everyone is like, really? I'm like, yeah. I mean, we took the bus, we went to the games, we did everything, but while everyone was playing, we were just chilling, because no other school had the double team for males. Like they had singles, double women, but not boys. Okay, no problem. No. It's pretty great.
That's a great story. I mean, you seriously totally immersed yourself in the culture.
Yeah. No. Once I realized, and at first I was even mad. I wasn't getting along with teachers, school, personnel and anything, because I thought like this, that this is not a school. That's not what this is not even. I don't want to be here. And then when I realized, I went with the flow, I'm like, okay. Yeah. I was able to take some classes because I was an exchange student, that just senior students could. So or orientation hours and stuff like that, or networking thing, or take time to go to the library. And I just went to the library and started reading books in English, which improved a lot my English level. So I was able to actually speak. That was kind of weird. That's, thinking back of it right now, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of weird. after 4 months, I was actually able to, I had a much better accent than I have right now because I don't interact as much in real life and I speak Italian most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, after 4 months, people knew I wasn't American, but they couldn't tell I was, like, they had no idea where I was from. Like, the accent was there, but not really. After 9 months, people were actually freaked out by saying, "Dude, are you Italian?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I've been here since August," and everyone is like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so that's I was really proud of.
I could just imagine saying y'all or all y'all with an Italian accent must have been funny.
The first time I was alone with someone in the States, this really kind man came to me, was one of the organizer, and said, "Do it?" And I'm like, "Sir, I don't understand." And like, "What do you mean? Do it?" Like, "I'm not, no, not, I don't know. Did you eat?" And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, sorry, no, I didn't." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." And it was really like, the guy was really Texan. "Howdy, all y'all, do eat?" Like, I'm like, okay. So like at first it was kind of a shock for me. But then, you know, my family wasn't actually from Texas, so Missouri and New York, but they lived in Houston since they married.
Yeah.
And so like the accent wasn't really that strong, but I've heard pretty strong Texan accents while there. Yeah.
Yep. That's funny. That's just so, I think the part I love about the story is there was a moment where it flipped for you and you just embraced it. Do you remember that moment when you just decided, okay, I'm going to just go with this. It's not the same, it's different, and that's okay?
Okay, I think there is one episode that's not necessarily nice, wasn't necessarily something good. I went as an exchange student to speak to American students of my experience of why they should be doing it as well, and so on and so forth, until one class actually asked, "But do you like here better or home better?" And I'm like, you know, that I got that direct question, and I was in front of a class, so I had to, you know, and I was like, I mean, this is great, like, I love it, but you guys don't go out, you guys don't take your bike and ride to a cafeteria with your friends, or, you know, you don't really go out, and it's not, you have roads, you have huge roads, so it's not, it's really, like, to me, I wasn't happy. And the person in charge was like, "Enrico, I mean, you shouldn't really talk like that, because otherwise people get turned off and they don't want to do it." And I'm like, I got on a kind of a fight, because at the time I still was a lot more passionate and direct, didn't think things through.
Yeah.
I wasn't old enough. So it was like, I mean, I don't care, I mean, that's the truth, so I'm gonna tell the truth.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, but you know, we want people to enroll." And I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you want to enroll, but I'm just gonna tell you my story. That's me. And so from there, she then called my hosting parents, saying, I mean, that I had done that, and they were really supportive and say, "Well, did he lie?" And like, I mean, no, but, and she was like, "That's not the point." And they were like, "Yeah, that's actually the point. Did he lie or not?" You know, and like, "No, he didn't lie, so like nothing wrong from us. I mean, I'm not, you know." So they didn't call me anymore to go and do those kind of speeches. But that was the moment when I realized, I think, for me, or at least that's the moment I remember, that was when I realized, yeah, here things are different. It's not, I like it here better, I like it there better.
Yeah.
If you were me, you would like there better. If I were you, you would like here better. The thing is realizing that it's not a comparison. It's not a race. It's not a competition. It's just two different things.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, it's like Michael Jordan better than Tiger Woods? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, you know, that it's just different.
Yeah.
For me, Michael Jordan, of course, is. And for golf players, it's going to be Tiger Woods. But, you know, it's just two different sports, two different things. You
Right.
can't really compare them.
Right. So it was that shift in perception, that change that created your experience then and made things different for you.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like coming back to Italy after that? You said that it was too small, huh?
Yeah, because yes, I came back, and that was just not much after I got some letters from American colleges and such. And I didn't grow up from a rich family, definitely not a rich family. So you struggle to get to the end of the month. You have to be thoughtful, you have to be careful, you don't have to waste money or spend on stupid stuff. And I couldn't afford the American college. Like my family, I mean, we couldn't afford an American college. It was out of the question. And I didn't feel fine with it, because I got I got a letter from the Brown University saying that if I could keep up the SAT scores, which if it wasn't for the English, I would have been 97 percentile on the country,
right.
on everything. Mm-hmm. On math was 98, on science was 95, and then history English just was down like 78 still, but not that bad. But I wasn't a native speaker, and I've been there for 8 months, not longer. But they said if you could improve the English level next year, they would be happy to have an interview and go there. And I'm like, okay, that's a cool school. Like, I mean, that's what I think it's cool. But we couldn't do it. So when I came back, I was like, okay, I mean, if I could have gotten ideally into the Brown University, I'm sure I can do something really great here. But that's not how things go. I mean, but I even here, some colleges are expensive, and thankfully right now, like 2018, I'm thankful for what happened, but until now I was really mad about it. Uh-huh. I went to college and I realized, and this is gonna sound so cliche, but it's my truth. So that college is for actual employees to me.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not going to after a Gary V motto or anything, or anything of the sort. When I went to college, I didn't fit in. I couldn't. I was always good in high school for what now I call intuition, because I knew things. And it wasn't that difficult. Like, it wasn't difficult to me. I mean, I didn't care. As long as you passed. I'm not saying I always got straight A's, but I definitely did not put myself. I didn't I didn't try that hard. I mean, I was like, at 4:35 p.m.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, and then at 4:35 p.m. I would go out. I mean, I came back at 2:30 p.m. At 4:30 to 5, I would just go out and come back at 8, have dinner, watch TV, and go to bed. So I actually invested 2 hours of my free time to school throughout my life. So I was like, yeah, okay, I mean, that's it. In college, you need to have a little bit more, and you need to follow specific rules. You need to follow specific guidelines that I just wouldn't follow.
They didn't work for you.
No, I mean, I'm like, no, that's okay. I mean, I like that. That's not what's important. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm kind of weird on that sense, or to me, I'm kind of right on that sense, but I wouldn't follow it. I mean, I wouldn't and the episode that really got me mad, just because otherwise some people might get this wrong, is that I studied for a big exam. I studied physics. Then I switched to economics because I realized I didn't want to study all my life, and I didn't like the academic environment. So I wanted to do something more and want to be, just make a living and live my life, travel the world, do my thing. So I studied economics, and it was this macroeconomics exam that was really important, and I liked the subject. So I prepared the exam really well. So well that the day before the exam, I helped a guy. I helped, I kind of, I don't know, mentored. I can't find the term right now. Yeah, I tutored the guy, which then passed the exam on one of the top of the class. And I go to the exam and I realize that everyone is copying. So I realized that not everyone, but a really good portion of the people in there was copying the exam. And the professor were just, right there reading the paper or like, grading some papers and such. And I'm like, guys, this is sorry, pardon my French, but this is bullshit. Like I'm like, this is not, I'm working all summer to pay rent and pay college because I was staying at the apartment with other flatmates. Pay rent, pay college. I struggle to get at the end of the month. And then these happens. So I'm like, nah, that's not.
It just didn't sit well with you. Yeah.
No, I'm out. That's because technically, and I'm not saying this happens, but technically, it is possible to graduate summa cum laude without knowing anything, as long as you pass the test.
Yeah.
Like, it's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely, and I don't think anyone has ever done it. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, but it could happen.
There might actually be someone that has done it.
Yeah.
And in the same time, someone that couldn't graduate and struggled a lot and is depressed for a student loan that actually wanted to do it, but the system doesn't really care. And I didn't want to be a part of that system. So I said, okay, I'm going to find a job and figure it out. So I found this job as an insurance sales rep, where I would get called and sell insurances. And in that job, I found the guy that referred me to the email marketing course, and that was it. And then here I am, two years later, and quite a big audience later, and a good, a good company.
I always love that. I always call it, you just follow an inkling. You don't know why you make a decision, but you just know to make it. And so you do. And that's intuition.
And it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not hard to follow it, but it isn't necessarily easy to keep going.
Right. It's like these interviews. Scott set him up. I've got him booked solid for the next 2 weeks. I don't know why. I mean, I know that I need to do the interviews, and we talked about that. But I don't know why I have them scheduled back to back. I don't know why I've set it up that way. I just know that that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm doing it. And then we'll see what happens. But so far it's been really fun.
But it is. I assume it is, because we've done a series of interviews in our Facebook group, where I would just kind of interview anyone that had any above average achievement in internet marketing. And I started it randomly, to grow the group, to get people in, and so on and so forth. And I, starting from there, within 6 months, I was able to interview the CEO of Marketing Zen. I was able to interview the social media director for Apple. I was able to interview the business development director at VaynerMedia. I was able to do a lot of things. And the funny thing is that regardless of who you're interviewing, whether it is someone that has just started a Facebook group or just trying to do stuff, or it's a high level C position officer, you learn, and it's cool. You get to touch more cultures. You get to see different perspectives. Of course, we are going to be biased and say, he was right, she was wrong, he was wrong, she was right, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you think of it, it's just a different way of seeing the world. You don't know, that's the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's just, I think you do. I call it following the breadcrumbs. You feel into it, you feel something, that's right. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then you follow it, and it turns out really good. I'm not one of those people, and I don't know if you are, but I'm not one of those people who plan anything. I just have an idea of where I want to go, and I follow it and follow all the little breadcrumbs.
And I think, I don't know if that's a common trait of people with good intuition. Yeah. But if I can recall anyone that I've met that I think he or she had good intuition, that's kind of the way. Yeah. And the same, and one important thing is, I don't know if that's the case for you, but I would assume that if you have good intuition, if you don't actually invest your time, your house or room is a mess. And I'm not saying dirty. I'm saying just, you know, you're not tidy or putting things together. I mean, that's one thing that I found. That's a common trait that I found for a lot. Not all of them, but a lot of people I met that we talked, and I could see that they were kind of like me in terms of intuition and such. And I don't know. I think there is a link to it. You know, I think there is. That's a key trait. To say, like, I don't know. We could keep on talking about this for a long. Yeah.
It could be that. No, I mean, I get it. It's really funny. It's like, we actually just here probably a couple of weeks ago just started really focusing on keeping our house clean, but because now I've followed the energy and we were just buried under all this muck and dirt, and I didn't like the energy of it, so I've changed it. And now it's like, okay, I don't want to have to spend all that time cleaning my house anymore, so I'm going to keep up on it. But yeah, I've definitely been the disorganized, all kinds of mess around the house, and then it's like suddenly I'm just trying consciously to change that. Now,
but you have to stick to it, right?
Yeah, I have to stick to it. As a matter of fact, this morning it's like, if there were a couple of chores I didn't get done, and I'm like, oh man, I could totally slip back into that, but I'm not gonna. But the picture behind you intrigues me. What is that?
Oh, that's I have, like, literally, I'm calling you. We rented a really big apartment for 2 months to go like startup style and take our 3 main officers to work here for 2 months and plan the scaling for 2019. So this is not my house. And the cool thing is that's a Kandinsky, it's Marc Chagall. It's a Marc Chagall painting. It's called The Red Jew. And it's from a collection of Russian spiritualism paintings. But I'm not an art person.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of creepy.
It is. It kind of is. But you know what? And this is weird. There is this figure which I like, not because, you know, Rasputin.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't discover it for what it did in real life, but for a really good movie that I liked. I'm really big into animations and anime and that kind of thing. So there is this Lupin the Third. Do you know what?
Scott's going Lupin the Third.
Yeah. So there is a movie. Where there is this Rasputin. Then I did some research and I read the life of the guy. So it's pretty amazing and pretty weird, it might be said. Yeah. And this guy really reminds me of it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What's the Lupin the Third?
It's an anime.
It's an anime. Thieves?
Yeah. It's they are cool thieves though. In a funny way and good. Not you know, not like a real burglar that would kill people. Just, you know, like a good.
They call them gentleman thieves.
Gentlemen thieves.
Yeah, gentleman thieves. Yeah, absolutely.
This is something you admire because you're guys.
Yeah, I think I would say so, and I'd say that the main female character, it's also done so that it's really likable from guys. Yeah. So I think that's also how they trick us usually.
That's really. That's really funny. Now, do you go back home often? Back to the island?
I'd say yes, but because it's an island and it's cool to go as a vacation kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I live not far away. So I live an hour away by car. I didn't go really, really far. So I went to the next big city, which is this. The other one was not a city I liked because I wanted to live close to the sea. So I'm right now close to the sea. I go there during the weekends with my girlfriend, and we just stay there to, you know, chill at the beach or like go meet my grandparents and then say hi and then, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't plan in going back steadily. I mean, not even
So just every once in a while you go back over there and
yeah.
How does it feel now? Does it feel like home or does it feel like you're a tourist?
No, I don't think it will ever feel like I'm a tourist, because I really grew up in the island, not really at home. So I really lived the place.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens, I'm never gonna feel like a tourist. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but as of now, I won't ever feel like
It was
tourist.
home at one time, so you do still feel that familiarity and that
Yeah, no, absolutely, because I grew up there, and I left late, not late. I left after college, during college, but it's an 8,000 people town, so you know everyone. So even when you go back, you greet and you say hi to everyone, because you actually know them, because you've grown up in the same street.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's how it's going to be. Probably 50. If I don't go there for 50 years straight, then that's gonna change definitely. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't know why that's an interesting. I keep picturing Mamma Mia, the movie. Do you ever see the movie Mamma Mia?
Yeah. It's actually a good one. I mean,
the little island and the little hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you. That was you working 12 years old, working in there in the bed and breakfast, putting in the hours and doing the work. So you learned early on.
That's funny enough. Yeah, but that's funny enough. That's how we also kind of learn German, because a lot of German tourists are there. So I'm of course, anything related to hotels and restaurants and that kind of thing I can speak about. I would never be able to speak about philosophy in German, but if I go to Germany, I'm able to speak better than the regular tourist.
Carry on the conversation and how interesting. What an interesting life you've lived at 25.
Yeah, I would say
almost 26.
So. Almost 26.
Yeah, you go 25 and 3/4 is where you are.
Yeah, as of now, I would say 25 3/4, and I'm still kind of worried because I don't want to be 26, because that's I don't know, it kind of sounds weird. 25 is a good number. Overall it's a good number. 26 not really. 27 kind of better, it's 9 times 3, so I don't know, it kind of sounds better. 26 is 2 times 13, which is not the best, but
not good. Okay. Yeah. That's funny. So your numbers are you have that number brain and kind of.
Oh yeah. That's what got me through a lot. That's I never studied math. I mean, until college I never really studied math. I had an amazing elementary school teacher that used a different kind of method for math. And from there to last year of high school, when you actually need to study because it's a little bit different, I never studied math.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fascinating hour to spend with you and learn more about you. And I love the philosophy. It's just different. I think that's something that's going to carry you through life. I have to say,
I hope it will.
I'm old and you're the same age as my kid, so I have to be philosophical here and tell you, good job.
Thanks.
I made you blush. That's so funny. Well, good. No, that's really cool. Yes, absolutely. I mean, as a somewhat professional person, you have great intuition. You do, and I think it serves you well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful most of the time for it.
Yeah.
And I say most of the time because sometimes you realize things that you wished you didn't realize, but most of the time, 99.8% of the time, it's a blessing.
It works for you. Well, good. Well, I so appreciate you spending this time with us today.
Thank you, sir. I mean, it's been amazing. I'm sure these interviews, and I really hope you keep doing them. I'm pretty sure you're gonna work out whatever you're doing them for, and I don't know. I mean, you probably still have to figure it out completely.
Yeah.
But you're so genuine that I think you're just gonna knock it out of the park.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's because,
Thank you.
and I discovered this the other day, is that I just like really good conversation. I really do. And that's the core of me, and having conversations with people. And I am so grateful to you for hanging out. I have to go research that painting because it's still freaking me out though, but
It's Marc Chagall,
the Red Jew. All right.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And thank you so much, Starr, and thanks Scott for connecting us. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And hope to catch up anytime.
All righty, cool. We'll talk to you later. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Enrico. Join us next week when we talk to Sierra Sullivan about hypnosis and lots of really cool stuff. And we giggle through the whole thing. So it's going to be a fun thing for you to watch. So we'll see you next week.